Hello. Well, this is something I've been thinking about for a while and wasn't quite sure how to deal with it, but now I've been forced into dealing with it by a series of events that have happened to me and around me over the past couple of days. And it all has to do with the woke attitude to women. Okay, so this is what impelled me to deal with this subject, which is difficult. And I might say, for those of you who don't like people talking about blood, then I'm afraid this video isn't for you. Because I'm not going to go into technical details, but I'm going to mention the word occasionally. I just thought I'd warn you. So, first of all, I got a video demonetized. Actually, I got three of them demonetized. What happened was my last video, which was about, don't say I told you so to a Biden supporter. I'll put the link up there if I remember, or down there in the description, whatever. When I tried to monetize it, because it was perfectly reasonable, I discovered that YouTube had told me I'd made mistakes in my previous assessments of my own videos, and now they were going to have to check me out. The system around here, in YouTube, at any rate, if you want to monetize your video, you say you want to monetize it, and then you have to go through a sort of questionnaire. Does it contain graphic scenes of violence? Does it contain fleeting mentions of violence? Does it talk about puppies? I don't know, but there's a whole list. And if you tick too many boxes, your video doesn't get monetized. In my case, I think if there's anything, if I have to tick one of the boxes, then I don't bother to monetize it at all, because it's just not worth the aggro. So what happened was they had gone back through my back catalogue. They'd found two videos which they didn't like, so the one I was just trying to upload, the one about Biden, was therefore going to come under scrutiny. So I unlisted it, which meant it was there until they had assessed it. The video I was most annoyed about was one they had gone back to June, 3 months ago. 4 months ago. What am I talking about? Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? This was 4 months ago. And 4 months ago, YouTube thought that video was fine. Now, it's a mistake in my self-assessment and is going to affect all my future self-assessments. It means when I upload a video now, I'm going to have to wait until they've assessed it for me. And in the case of the Biden one, 6 hours before they got round to saying it was okay. All right, so that was that. And what was this sinful June video about? Well, it was an article published. It was I was describing to you guys an article I found in a magazine called Lesbian and Gay News, and it was written by a woman called Lauren Black. And I'll try and put a link in the description or up here or wherever, again, so you can take a look at it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not shocking. The only problem is that Ms. Black describes herself as a butch lesbian and then says she wants to stay being a woman. She refuses to go under the knife and consign herself to a lifetime of testosterone pills. Otherwise, she has a wife, she has children, and she earns her living, I think, as a truck driver or a mechanic or something, all traditionally male occupations. And this is where she smacks straight into the brick wall of wokeness, because I think they believe that because she's not all pink and fluffy, she shouldn't be describing herself as a woman, and she shouldn't look like a woman, and she should be medicated so that she looks as little like a woman as possible. I mean, that's the only possible reason for them not to like that video. But Lauren Black is aware that, as with most human characteristics, femininity is on a sort of spectrum, and you're going to get people at one end or the other. And she knows she happens to be at the far end of femininity, but she is still a woman, and she's not giving up her female fertility and characteristics just to fit into some sort of woke agenda. Okay, so the second thing that hit me at around the same time was when I was discussing this with YouTube support, because one of the staff started explaining to me very gently and carefully, this was written down, by the way, not we weren't talking, we were exchanging messages, told me how I can upload videos to the unlisted category until YouTube had assessed them for naughty thoughts. In other words, this person who must have seen my personal details, might have looked at my videos and saw I was a woman of a certain age, just automatically assumed that I had no more technical knowledge than that required to plug in an electric kettle. Well, there you are, you see. So that I found that quite offensive, actually. And then, at exactly the same time, well, not exactly the same time, but within about half an hour of seeing that message, I saw a Crowder video in which he played a clip of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about people who menstruate. And we know why she didn't say women, don't we? Because now there's a category of woman who has never menstruated and could never menstruate because that woman is really a man. So what we are looking at here is a social movement that Ocasio-Cortez is just too stupid to work out. And that is that she is contributing to the idea that women are inferior creatures who really shouldn't be out in polite society. Yes, that's exactly where it could end up. And I'll prove it to you. Again, trigger warning, I'm going to start talking about blood now. Sorry. Look, we know that throughout recorded history, women have been regarded as tainted because menstruation has been considered a state of uncleanliness. And that's not just in one religion. It seems to go, well, all the ones I know about. In the Middle Ages, in Middle Ages Europe, so that's Christianity, but that comes from Aristotle, actually. It was given that menstrual blood was poisonous. You know, if you put it on plants, they die. In Judaism and Hinduism, a menstruating woman is compelled to separate herself from society, often, by the way, in conditions which were both humiliating and uncomfortable and insanitary as well. In Islam, a woman is so impure when she's menstruating, she's not even allowed to pray. Medieval Christianity called it the curse of Eve. Oh, and yeah, that reminds me. It was so menstruating in medieval Christianity was so closely linked to impurity and even satanic ideas that it was taken for granted that Jewish men menstruated, because you can't get worse than a Jewish man, can you? Okay. And it was certainly implicated in witchcraft. Now, look, it could be that this all goes back into the mists of time, the remote mists of time, and the best of motives. That is, it may have originated in the idea of protecting a woman from sexual activity when she isn't feeling well, or possibly so far as the ancient ignorant people knew about the woman's monthly periods, it might have been associated with some sort of injury. So it might have been a kindness, but that quickly mutated from the kindest of motives to the idea of prohibition and separation because of contamination. not kindness. And that's the legacy we have now. So every time Ocasio-Cortez talks about people who bleed, actually, she's reinforcing the concentration society, and of course, I do mean male society, the concentration society had on this one aspect of femininity, which overrides every other aspect of the female character. The terror of her poisonous bloodletting, which of course ends up with women, and that is real women, being locked away where they can do no harm. So it's very, very dangerous to concentrate on the bleeding aspect of women. Let's face it, when you think about it, most women don't for most of their lives. They have a childhood when, nothing gets started, and then they reach middle age, and they may have as long in middle age and old age not bleeding as just those few fertile years in the middle of her life. So talking about people who bleed isn't even accurate there. I don't now. I'm far too old for that sort of thing. Does that make me, am I still not a woman? Do I still not have do I not do I not bleed? And if you prick us, do we not bleed? But most of the time, we don't bleed in any other way either. You bleeding idiots. And there goes my monetization on this one. Please remember to at least click the like button, which does help to circulate the video. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbow with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.